Well, Steve Ray joins us to talk about the latest in Footprints of God series. Hey, Steve, thanks so much for being with us. How you doing?
Well, thank you, Jay and Kevin. Glad to be here, and I'm doing just fine, thanks.
Great. Well, the Footprints of God series has taken us on quite a journey. Tell us what made you decide to produce it.
18 years ago, and it's been an 18-year project. We have one more to do in 2020, and that'll make it a 20-year project. I never dreamed it would take that long. We thought 5 years. But what happened, I took my wife and my kids to the Holy Land when I became Catholic. 1994, I converted to the Catholic Church from evangelical Protestant, and we went to the Holy Land for the first time. 1995, I said, wow, it changed our lives. I cried through the whole pilgrimage. I lead pilgrimages now, but I would have never dreamed it back then. And I cried through the whole thing and said, I wish I could take everybody there to see this. It's life-changing. Well, then in the year 2000, it was the year of grace. I was sound asleep in bed. This idea had never come to my head before. It was pitch dark. My wife and I were sound asleep, and I sat bolt upright in bed, and everything was in my head. I grabbed my wife, and I said, Janet, quick, wake up, wake up. We have to make a 10-part video series on the history of salvation from a Catholic perspective. You can imagine her response.
Yeah.
She was shaking. She thought the house was on fire, or I was having a heart attack or something. And she said, what? I said, we have to make a... She said, I heard you. What did you... You're crazy. Waking me up and scared me half to death to tell me that? She says, there's no way we can do that. We can't even take good pictures. How does God expect us to make movies? And she rolled over and went back to sleep. Well, that night, I got up at 2 in the morning, and I sat at my computer, and it was like it was infused into my brain, and I typed out the whole outline for a 10-part video series. I had never done video. I had no idea how to make videos, but I just knew that God had given me this idea. I typed out the whole outline. It had to be biographies of the key people of salvation history: Abraham, Moses, David and Solomon, Elijah and Elisha, Mary, Peter, Paul, all the way Jesus, apostolic fathers and doctors of the church. It had to cover the whole span. And it had to be a travel log so people could visit these places. Most people will never visit these places. Like when I did Abraham, I had to go to Iraq, and we had to film in Iraq where Abraham came from, right when ISIS was there. But anyway, we did it. And people may never get to see these places themselves, so I thought we'll show them the whole story of salvation, that all these places are real, it really happened, it's real history. And it had to be apologetics and a defending of the Catholic faith, because I'm a convert, I love to defend the faith. And then lastly, I said it can't be boring. I hate boring documentaries. They put me to sleep. Kids don't want to watch them. So this has to be a rollicking, fun adventure, wrestling snakes, riding horses, climbing trees, falling in the mud, all of which we've done, and that's how it got started.
That's awesome. Talk about this particular portion of the series, if you could, Steve, and maybe some of the things that people might be surprised to learn in this.
Well, this covers 1,000 years, basically, because Elijah and Elisha were the two first great prophets. In fact, the Catechism of the Catholic Church calls Elijah the father of the prophets. And he's the prophet that was on the Mount of Transfiguration. So he's so important. But this covers the life of these two. And some of the most interesting things that we found is that there were these gods that were that the Israelites were following, called Baal and Asherah. And the king and queen of Israel had brought these gods in, and they had killed all the prophets of the true God of Israel. And so the whole story is really about the dueling deities. That's what the second chapter is especially, that the dueling deities, how the God of Israel kind of called the other gods out and defeated them at every step at the hand and the voice of Elijah and Elisha. It's a very fun movie. And it's interesting to look at the gods that they worship: Baal, Asherah, Chemosh, and Moloch. These are the gods from the lands around. And when Israel came into the land, they adopted a lot of these foreign pagan idols and deities to be their own. And even infant sacrifice. One of the things people will be surprised by is that some of the grotesque things that these gods demanded of the people, like infant sacrifice and so on. And I show how we have the same kind of gods today in America. We still have our gods that we bow down and worship to instead of the God of Israel. And so I can show the comparison, and it's a call really for American Catholics to purify themselves in America as well.
So, Steve, if someone goes to your website, you have pilgrimage, speaking engagements. What else can they find on your website?
Well, I've been developing this website for over 24 years, ever since I became a Catholic. It's CatholicConvert.com. There's one section called resources that a lot of people like because I have hundreds of documents there that I've written, letters arguing with Baptist pastors who want to debate me and so on, and all things about the Eucharist and Mary and Jesus, all these things. And you can print them out freely and share them with people. So I have all of these kind of documents. I have a whole section of conversion stories, hundreds of conversion stories from every possible background, Islam, Mormon, Baptist, all these people who have converted into the Catholic Church. I have all of our pilgrimages. We take pilgrimages to the Holy Land and to Ireland and to Poland and to Mexico and St. Paul cruises, all the biblical sites that I made movies about. I now take people to these places on cruises. I also have our store where you can buy this video on Elijah and Elisha that I made, and there's a lot of information. In fact, you can go there and you can kind of virtually visit all of our pilgrimages, because every pilgrimage I've ever taken, I've made movies of the whole pilgrimage. So you can go back and you can actually virtually kind of go on a pilgrimage to Poland or Mexico or Ireland or Israel. So there's a lot of things at CatholicConvert.com.
Very good. Well, Steve, thanks so much for being with us. Always a pleasure. Continue the good work. You always do a great job when you come on.
Thank you, Jay and Kevin. Keep up the good work yourself over there, and please feel free to call on me anytime. I love you guys, and I love what you're doing over there.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.